Hello, I'm meteorologist Carly Kovacic with the National Weather Service in Peachtree City. We're going to go ahead and get started with this week's briefing. I think many people are going to be pleased with this coming week's forecast. Shown here are the current conditions at the surface. Here we can see two cold fronts currently residing over the eastern U.S. The one seen down in northern Florida, indicated by the blue lines, is the one that moved through our area the past few days. As it moved through, it brought some drier and cooler air behind it. Another cold front is located across the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes area. As this front moves east, it will affect our weather in Georgia slightly. We're going to talk more about that next. The surface high behind the Great Lakes cold front I just mentioned is forecast to move eastward into New England on Friday. As this happens, the clockwise flow around the high will bring cooler air south and southwestward into the southeast United States. This cooler air is expected to move into Georgia and will likely increase cloud cover and may lead to a few isolated showers. Now really quickly, some of you may be asking what a wedge is. A wedge is often also referred to as cold air damming. As a surface high pressure system moves into the northeast U.S., the clockwise flow around it moves southwestward towards the Appalachian Mountains. Often this air is cooler and too dense to rise over the mountains. It then becomes dammed against the mountains and moves southward, oftentimes as far south as Georgia. It can usher in cooler air, clouds, and precipitation, although not always. So as the wedge builds in on Friday, there will be a slight chance of showers, but we are not expecting much, if any, accumulation. The showers will likely be isolated in nature. Temperatures, although not shown here, will only be a few degrees below the high temperatures today. The next interesting feature in the forecast is a cold front that is expected to move into Georgia on Monday. This front is expected to bring in much drier air behind it and may cool high temperatures down into the upper 70s to around 80 degrees across most of the state. We are not expecting much moisture to be associated with this cold front. A few showers will be possible, but accumulations are expected to be light, typically no greater than 3/10 of an inch. Here is the predicted rainfall totals today through next Thursday. With the brighter colors indicating higher rainfall amounts, you can see that we aren't expecting very much rainfall at all the next 7 days. Right now, it looks like the majority of Georgia could see between 1/10 to 1/2 an inch total. The biggest rain producers, again, will be the wedge set in to build tomorrow and the cold front scheduled to move through on Monday, but again, these features will be weak. Here is a look at the next week's forecast. Much more pleasant conditions are in store for Georgia. Temperatures will hover between the upper 70s and lower 80s through the middle of next week. We have a slight chance of showers in the forecast Friday with the wedge front moving in, and a slight chance of thunderstorms will be possible early next week on Monday as a cold front moves through. The cold front on Monday looks to bring beautiful and more fall-like conditions to the area. Glancing at the tropics, not too much is going on, and nothing is currently forecast to affect Georgia or the northeastern United States. Shown in the upper left are the current conditions. Shown on the bottom right is the 5-day forecast. Hurricane Edouard is currently located over the middle upper portion of the Atlantic Ocean. It is currently a Category 1 hurricane and is expected to move slowly eastward. Another wave has just moved off of the west coast of Africa. The Hurricane Prediction Center is currently forecasting a very low chance of further development as this wave moves westward. We would just like to remind everybody that fall does begin next week. It will start on Tuesday, September 23rd. The main points to take away from this week's briefing is that a wedge will build in on Friday, a cold front will move through on Monday. We're forecasting low precipitation chances associated with the wedge and the cold front through the next week. Drier air and cooler temperatures are forecast next week behind the cold front scheduled to move through on Monday, and the tropics look to remain quiet as well throughout the next week.